said that our actions, our
Let's look
behavior
at some
really
other
can be
aspects of learning theory, and
governed
these come
by
from the
how
area
high up
of
on a
educational
scale
psychology.
that
One of
action
the
meets our needs.
facets of
The higher
psychology.
it is, the more likely we are to try to take care of it.
Educational
For
psychologists
example, if
specifically
it's
consider
something that we
how
can do that
people
will
learn
provide
and how
just the
that learning can
basic
be
keep
affected
us
either by
alive
the
stuff like getting
environment
enough
or
food, water,
biology.
making sure we're not
Typically,
freezing or
it's something
boiling,
that's done to the
this
student
is one of
or
the
that they
first needs
innately
we need
do
to
to
take care of.
affect
So if a
learning.
student comes in and the classroom is too hot or too cold, they're not going to
One
be as
theorist was
concerned
named
about much
McCluskey.
else in the course because
His idea was
that
essentially
basic
that we
need has
have a
not been
certain
met.
amount of power
If they're
to
hungry
cope
or need to
with
get
something,
water, it's the same
and
thing.
that something that we're trying to
Next
cope
up
with
is,
is
do
known
they feel
as
like
the
this is a
load.
physically or an
If
emotionally
there
safe
is
environment?
very little difference between
Next
what we can
is, do
cope
they feel
with
like
and
they
what's
really
being
do
asked of
belong in the
us,
class?
that means there's a very
For
small
both of these,
margin and will
safety and
typically be
belonging,
okay.
this is part of the student's
If that margin,
responsibility
however,
and
is very
yours.
large,
You want to
it
make
makes
sure
it
that
less
the
likely we'll be able
environment
to deal
actually
with the
is safe for them
situation.
by monitoring the class
For
behavior.
example,
And for
if you have
belongingness,
a
come up with
student
some
that has
group activities
no
or
job
some
outside of
joining
school,
activities to make
no
sure that
other
the student has a
responsibilities,
chance to get
they've
to
got
know
a
the
lot of
others in the
support at
course
home,
and be
that
mindful and
means
watch
that
out for any
their
kind of bullying
power
or
is very
behavior that
high
pushes the student
and
out.
their load is not
Once they've
higher
met
than what
these
they can
needs and the
deal with,
student is
the
possibly
margin
going to get to
is not
a
something
really
that's going
high
to
level
cause
of
stress
self-esteem where
on
they
the
feel
learner.
like their basic needs
Now
are
let's pick a
met,
different student,
now they can
one that
begin to
has to work
learn and
two
incorporate that new
full-time
stuff
jobs, one at
into
EMS and
long-term
one
changes
somewhere
in their
else,
behavior.
while they're trying to take an EMS class and help to take care of a family.
Some instructors will
That's a
use
huge amount
prizes in
of
their
load
classrooms
upon the
in order
learner
to change
with
behavior.
very little
There are
power
some
because
benefits
they don't
in
have a lot of
using rewards.
extra
For
energy in
example, if
order to
students
take
show
care
up
of what's required
at
of them.
class on time,
This
you might
margin
give
is
an
going to
extra
be
100 on a
difficult
quiz grade just
for the
because they
learner.
showed up on time. Some instructors will use things like small pieces of candy or stickers. It doesn't take a lot of
Mesereau says
money
there's
to
something
reward
called
students. You
deep
might be
learning.
surprised that
This
just
is
putting
learning that occurs
stickers
when
on the
we
papers you're
take something
handing back
into
out,
us
how
that
much
causes
that
our
will
behavior to change
cause
over
students
the
to
long
feel as though
term.
they have
For
earned
example,
something and they
if I
like
go
it.
into a lab for the
There
very
are some
first
potential
time and
downsides
someone
to it.
shows me how to put in
One big
an IV
downfall is
line,
that you don't want to spend
if I
much money
see
on
them
these
do it,
because
I pick
they're
up
not going to
the
work very
material and I
long. And
stick the line
that other
in
pitfall is
and
once
then
that
walk away.
reward
I
is no longer
probably
effective,
have
if
learned
that's
it
what you're
sort
relying on
of,
to motivate
but
your
I don't think
students,
I could do it
then
the
you'll have to
next
come
day
up with
in
something
a
else.
hectic situation. But if I
Now take a
practice
minute
it
and
for
look at the
30,
case in
40,
point
50
on page
times to
43 in your
eventually
textbook.
I'm not having to think about each
What do you
individual
think
step
is the
and it
reason
becomes
that the
just a
instructor's
routine part
advice
of
to
my
the student, whose
behavior?
name was Bob,
That is deep
worked?
learning. Something we do a lot in EMS
One
is
reason
experiential
that
learning.
the instructor's
This
advice
is where we
worked
have the
probably is
student
because
run
Bob was just getting
through
frustrated
scenarios
at
in
being there
lifelike
in public,
situations in
being
order to help
seen
them
as
ingrain the
unsuccessful among the other
information into
students.
deep learning.
By taking the time to get away from
More
that
and more we're
stressful
seeing where
situation,
programs are having
practicing some
students
positive thinking,
practice skills not
increasing the
as much
sense of I can
individually, so
do
they
it,
don't just do a
Bob was able to
splint
come back and do
or
it
an
in a much more
IV or an
relaxed
intubation.
mental state.
They'll tend to do these as an integrated scenario.
Well,
Now
this
they
is
have
an
to learn those
opportunity for
skills
the instructor
initially
to take a
individually. They
moment
have to
and
start by
realize that
learning how to
they
put in the
can be
IV,
successful
how
despite
to
all of
apply the
these
splint or put on the
different
tourniquet. But
things
after
pulling
they've
on
learned the
his or her
skills
life for
to
that
help them
day.
master
The
them, the
lessons
student
were
is
being
asked to
changed or having to be
demonstrate those
reviewed,
all
the
together in
service
scenarios. This
called
is
about
more
that
realistic to
student
the
not showing
world,
up and the
and this is
vendor
how you
coming
would
there
be
to try to demonstrate some equipment.
tested in
That's a
National
lot of
Registry
things
exams.
having to be juggled at one time. But knowing you can be successful makes it more
Now, I've
likely that we
mentioned learning
will be
several times, so just
successful.
to clarify what a definition of learning is it just that you see something new like me seeing the IV and putting it in once? That's probably not what learning really is. It's something that has to be deeply ingrained in me and it changes my behavior over the long term.